Chapter 30. As we idled, stunned and silent, in front of Dory Dilson's sign, Susan's parents came and retrieved her from Mr. McShane's car. As in all things, they did not appear especially surprised or emotional over what was happening. Susan seemed in a trance. She sat beside me, staring vacantly at the sign through the windshield. Her hand was no longer holding mine. I groped for words but could not find them. When her parents came, she allowed herself to be led away. As she got out of the car, the silver plate slid from her lap and rang like a dying bell against the asphalt. Her father picked it up. I thought he would take it, but instead he leaned into the back seat where I sat and with a strained smile gave it to me. I did not see her for the rest of the weekend. By Monday, she was Stargirl again. Floor-length skirt, ribbons in her hair, just like that. She went from table to table at lunchtime, passing out happy-face cookies. She even gave one to Hillary Kimball. Hillary took off her shoe and used it like a hammer to smash the cookie on her table. Stargirl strolled among us strumming her ukulele, asking for a request. Cinnamon perched on her shoulder. He was strapped onto a tiny toy ukulele. She made her voice squeaky and kept her lips from moving, and it was as if Cinnamon were serenading with her. Dory Dilson, bless her, stood and applauded. She was the only one. I was too stunned to join her, and too cowardly, and angry, and not wanting to show approval for her return to Stargirl. Most of the students did not even look, did not even seem to listen. At the bell, as we left the lunchroom, I looked back. The tables were littered with cookies. Walking with her after school that day, I said, "I guess you're giving up, huh?" She looked at me. "Giving up? On what?" "On being popular, on being..." How could I say it? She smiled. "Normal?" I shrugged. "Yes," she said firmly. "Yes?" "I'm answering your question. The answer is yes. I'm giving up on trying to be popular and normal." Her face and body language did not seem to match her words. She looked cheery, perky. So did Cinnamon perched on her shoulder. "Don't you think maybe you should back off a little?" I said. "Don't come on so strong." She smiled at me. She reached out and brushed the tip of my nose with her fingertip. "Because we live in a world of them, right? You told me that once." We stared at each other. She kissed me on the cheek and walked away. She turned and said, "I know you're not going to ask me to the Acatella ball. It's okay." She gave me her smile of infinite kindness and understanding, the smile I had seen her aim at so many other needy souls, and in that moment I hated her. That very night, as if he were playing a scripted role, Kevin called me and said, "So, who are you taking to the Acatella ball?" I dodged. "Who are you taking?" "I don't know," he said. "I don't either." There was a pause on the other end of the line. "Not Stargirl?" "Not necessarily," I said. "You trying to tell me something?" "What would I want to tell you?" "I thought you were too. I thought there was no question." "So why are you asking?" I said, and I hung up. In bed that night, I became more and more uncomfortable as the moonlight crept up my sheet. I did something I had never done before. I pulled down the shade. In my dreams, the old man on the mall bench raised and wobbled head and croaked, "How dare you forgive me?" Next morning, there was a new item on the plywood row runner, a sheet of white paper. At the top it said, "Sign up here to join new musical group, the Uke Dukes. No experience necessary." There were 2 numbered columns for names, 40 in all. By the end of the day, all 40 were filled in with names such as Minnie Mouse and Darth Vader and the Swamp Thing. The principal's name was there, too, and Wayne Parr and Dory Dilson. "Did you see?" said Kevin. "Somebody wrote in Parr's name." We were in the studio control room. It was May, and our hot seats were over for the year, but on some days we still gravitated to the studio after school. "I said. He stepped up to a blank monitor, studied his reflection. "So, I didn't see your name on the list." "Nope." "You don't want to be a Uke Duke?" "Guess not." We fiddled with the equipment for a while. Kevin walked out onto the stage. He flipped a switch. His mouth moved, but I couldn't hear. I held the soft pad of a headphone against my ear. His voice seemed to come from another world. "She's turning goofy again, isn't she? Worse than ever." I stared at him through the glass. I put down the headphone and walked out. I understood what he was doing. He had decided that it was now okay to say bad things about Stargirl. Permission to do so must have come from my behavior. Apparently, the first to read me was Stargirl herself. I still felt the sting from her remark about the Acatella ball. Was I that obvious? Classrooms, hallways, courtyard, lunchroom, everywhere I went, I heard her disparaged, mocked, slurred. Her attempt to become popular, to be more like them, had been a total failure. If anything, they detested her more now, and they were more vocal about it around me. Or was I just listening better? She and Dory Dilson, the only Uke Dukes, did a duet in the courtyard one day after school. Stargirl strummed the ukulele and they both sang Blue Hawaii. Clearly, they had been practicing. They were very good. They were also very ignored. By the end of the song, they were the only two left in the courtyard. Next day, they were there again. This time, they wore sombreros. They sang Mexican songs. Gilito lindo, vaya con dos, my darling. I stayed inside the school. I was afraid to walk on past them as if they weren't there. I was equally afraid to stand and listen. I peeked from a window. Stargirl was doing her best imitation of La Flamenco. The click of castanets came through the window pane. Students walked past, most of them not even glancing her way. I saw Wayne Parr and Hillary Kimbo go past. Hillary laughed out loud, and Kevin, and the basketball guys. I realized now that the shunning would never end. And I knew what I should do. I should go out there and stand in front of them and applaud. I should show Stargirl and the world that I wasn't like the rest of them, that I appreciated her, that I celebrated her and her insistence on being herself. But I stayed inside. I waited until the last of the students had left the courtyard, and Stargirl and Dory were performing for no one. To my surprise, they went on and on. It was too painful to watch. I left school by another door.